I worked a prison in a remote area in southern Iraq, miles from Qasr. At the time I was there, it detained 30,000 prisoners, and an additional 3,000 that no one except people working there knew about. They'd put us in blacked-out window commercial buses and drive us an hour away for days at a time to guard the facilities. We were never allowed to speak with anyone on the main prison FOB, and forbidden to tell anyone about it at all. We referred to it only as Jurassic Park, one of the black prisons run by contractor medical personnel. The facility itself was a facade of mud and brick buildings resembling a small village. The place was complete with villagers, us, dressed up in man dresses and a small area for goats on the outskirts. From a distance, it looked legit, but up close, you could see the bulges from our combat gear underneath the clothing. All of us were picked for our darker complexion and allowed to grow facial hair. You also had to be military police with TS and PRP, or Yankee white clearance. I could not see Qasr from the facility, though I have no idea where we were, just that we were in the middle of nowhere. We had to park the gun trucks and buses away from the area and use netting to cover them. The trucks were manned by a PMC, so they looked like civilian vehicles, besides being armored variations of normal vehicles. Usually a small fire team would be tasked with security and a terp. The rest of us had to put on the clothing and start a small patrol to relieve the other guards. In late 2007, we were woken up early and were called to go to the facility 3 days earlier than our normal rotation. We bitched, got ready, and headed out to get in the buses. This time around, we arrived to a lot full of newer, up-armored Humvees told to shut up and get in. There were already drivers in each truck, and off we went. The drivers drove in a tight group, which is unusual for convoy ops. They also did not talk to us for the entire ride. It's pitch black outside, and all you can see is blackness. But this is the first time we were allowed to see where we were going, because the Humvee windows weren't blacked out like the buses were. I'm trying to orient myself, but can't see much beside the little red lights of the vehicle in front of mine. The windows are thick armored glass, so it's impossible to see anything in the nighttime desert with no illumination beside the convoys. We drive for a little over an hour, and you can see a faint glow in the distance. We start to get closer, and it's the facility that's on fire. The lieutenant comes over our comms and relays that anyone not wearing American DCU pattern Mop 4 is to be eliminated via deadly force. None of us are wearing mop gear. The drivers stop the vehicles and we're told to dismount and rally around a group of LMTVs that are waiting for us. They start calling out SSI numbers and handing out mopping gear that is already our sizes. My what the hell is going off hard. NCOs come around and tell us to gear up. We start putting our mop gear on and are abruptly told to stop and strip back down to our military uniforms and take out our military ID cards, driver license, and any other form of photo identification on our person or gear. Little teams of PMC, private military contractor, i.e. Blackwater, etc., start collecting and searching us. One guy would cut away our name tape, military branch tape, and unit patches. Once they finished, another team of them would come by and try to find anything that the first one missed. Lastly, our NCOs did the same thing to see if the first two missed anything. Officers start rallying up our NCOs for the op order. Operations order tells them what the plan is, and the rest of us are told to rally back up around another set of LMTVs. Armored supply trucks, like a newer Deuce and a half, and start unloading boxes filled with ammo, magazines, and newer NVGs than the ones we already had in our gear. These ones had a rail system that attached in behind our optic, so we could wear a gas mask and still shoot and see in the dark. We are told to load as many magazines as possible, and put the spares in our 3D assault packs, fancy military for backpack. We already carried a basic load of 210 rounds, and M9 pistols with 45 rounds in our ammo pouches on our IBAs, individual body armor. We're taken over to another area to zero our weapons at a makeshift little range made of HESCO blast barriers. With my NVGs, I can see that there is a security perimeter all around us, made up of PMCs. We shoot, zero, then rally back up to hear what the plan is. We are to provide personal security for a team of contractors and are to follow any and all directions from contractors, unless it's basic combat, tactical decisions. We start forming up into squads, 12 people, then break down into fire teams, about 4 people, and designate who will stay with the contractor, who will provide external security, and who will be clearing rooms. We then are briefed via rock drills, literally a map made up of rocks and lands in the dirt, for which squads will assault at what entry points, or defend entry points. We are leaving in platoon size, about 5 squads, and the rest of our normal security detail will provide overwatch, with heavy weapons and marksmen on the external perimeter once we start to systematically clear the village and underlying prison facility. After all of that, a team of free contractors wearing those pressurized suits that push air outward when it rips join my fire team. I want to say they had DuPont logos on the suit itself, but I don't really know. We start to move toward our objective. The patrol there goes smoothly, and we set up a perimeter and recon the area. Only a few buildings are still smoldering. The fire itself had gone out during all of the BS of just gearing up. A majority of the village is intact. There are also bodies strewn about, but with the gas masks and only night vision, it's hard to make out if they are insurgents or the guys we normally relieved wearing local clothing. There is a small IR beacon, infrared, flashing at the base of one of the larger buildings, and wants our team to shift to cover or clear that building. Plans are adjusted and the assault begins. It is damn near impossible to move with all mob suit on. That combined with sweat pooling in my mask and low visibility is making something relatively complicated in itself even more difficult. Fire teams make progress to their respective areas. Our building is on the opposite side of town, so it takes us a minute to get there. We bound and take positions, making it even more tedious as we move. I'm running to take up the next position and eat shit into the ground, landing on top of a body. The face is caved in, and the gore gets all over my mask and suit. I notice he is armed with an M4, meaning he is American military, and there are shell casings and magazines strewn about his body. My guess is I lost footing when my foot hit the shell casings, and like marbles, they made me slide and lose balance. The guy behind me bounds up and drags me out by my assault pack back up to my feet, and we continue. Small arms fire is going off sporadically, but in controlled bursts, meaning that other teams are running into opposition, but handling the situation. We arrive and stack up on our building and wait for the last team to get in place and set off 2 flashbangs to signal for all the building clearing teams to start. I'm covering my area of responsibility, but can barely see anything at all, with the sweat stinging my eyes, and my inability to wipe it away because of the gas mask. The gunfire has quelled, and the flashbangs echo throughout the village to signal the rest of us. I'm first in as lead man in my fire team. I'm having trouble seeing in the darkness, and the goddamn mask is making it worse. I swing my weapon up and clear my area of responsibility. The rest of the fire team follows. First room clear, so I stack back up on the next door, and wait to feel the pat on my back to assault the next room. My eyes are stinging at this point, and I really cannot see anything at all. All I'm hoping is some prick doesn't get the drop on me, and I get lit up. Feel the slap on my gear. Shove open door. I swing right and see a silhouette in the corner. He first cowers away from the light coming from my Surefly flashlight, then rebounds. I can't see if he has a weapon or not, but he starts to run towards me. Reach to squeeze the trigger, but the rubber from my mop gloves is caught on the trigger guard. Something so simple and quickly taken care of becomes in action long enough to get me killed. 2 shots go off, and my ears are ringing. The third man in saw the threat and neutralized it. We start to stack on the next door after securing the assailant with flexicuffs. Contractor comes in and tells us to stand by. Walks over and starts messing with the dead body. What the fuck is this guy doing? Starts swabbing the mouth with Q-tips and prodding body with other instruments. I can't really focus on what he is doing, as I'm responsible not to get us killed if someone comes through the next door. The other 2 technicians come in and start consorting with the contractor. The head guy walks over to fire team leader and tells us to stop clearing immediately and stand by. Contractor gets on his radio and starts relaying a message to his people. Sitting there waiting, letting whomever is waiting for us get into position, because they know we are there now, and every minute wasted is a minute for them to prepare for our entry. I'm getting antsy thinking about it, and I want to keep moving, but can't until I'm told. Contractor's radio goes back off, and he mumbles something into it, then addresses my fireteam leader. We were told that anyone inside the facility is to be considered hostile, and don't try to identify weapons, just shoot. Okay. Here comes War Crimes Tribunal. Contractor tells us to continue. Get to door. Feel slap. Rush in. Room clear. This is the deepest into the building any of us has ever been. There is one last door with a keypad and badge reader. There is a dead guard in a corner with boils on his exposed skin and black blood pulled around him and his clothing soaked through his clothes. The contractor follows us in when we secure the body. He repeats the process again, but does not call it in again. We wait in the room for a minute and wait for other fire teams to finish their way up to their respective entrances. Waiting. Then one of our guys asks the contractor if we're supposed to shoot other American personnel. What a dumb question, I think. But then this prick looks at us and says, yes, anyone in this facility, regardless of affiliation. What? I can't even believe I'm hearing this. Had it been our rotation instead of those guards, then the higher-ups would have just offed us too. With the downtime, I'm starting to connect the dots. Something biological was in this place, and now they are worried it will get out. My heart starts to race. I have blood on me. I'm wearing a crappy mop ensemble from some lowest bidder government contractor that they probably have made in goddamn Puerto Rico. I'm starting to shake a little bit. My gas mask is starting to pulse on my face from the deep breaths I am taking. I'm starting to freak out. How well did my buddy checks really check this thing to make sure I'm sealed up right? I ask the contractor if I'm safe inside my mop gear. He responds yes, nonchalantly. I yell at him that he has a suit that looks like it's out of the movie Outbreak, and that's easy for him to say. My leader tells me to chill the hell out. I proceed to chill the hell out. Sort of. Radio goes back off. Other teams are ready. Contractor walks up to the door and takes out restricted area badge. Swipes it, then enters his pin. Door hisses loudly and retracts backwards with a hydraulic whir. Enter next room. Sterile. One-way glass to my right. Little corridor, not really a room. Shove muzzle into one-way glass to break it, in case someone is going to light me up from the other side. Muzzle makes contact, and the solid glass does not even wobble. The shock hurts my wrist. Continue toward end of corridor, and never keep out. Contractor does his thing. We assault into a long hallway with rooms on either side. It's a room-clearing nightmare. Contractor assures us all that these doors are secure and walks ahead of us to a specific door. I can hear movement and voices inside the rooms. Realize they are where the detainees are kept in cells. Contractor talks to leader. Contractor wants us to force cell extract the prisoner. We don't have any riot gear to do this. Have to do it anyway. Stack up on the door and he inputs a code to open it. Door unlocks. Rush in. My first step in, I slip, and am shoved forward by my teammates for the extraction. I'm knocked out briefly. Wake up back outside cell. I'm covered in blood, and teammate is wiping blood off my face shield. Contractor is hovering over me, and asks me to check the seal on my mask to make sure it didn't tear. Seal is fine. Doesn't even ask if I'm alright. Walks away to sergeant. Looks inside cell. Covered in blood and vomit. Detainee dead in the corner. Overhear contractor address one of the techs. Tells them to stay out of the cell, and that he was hoping we'd find him here and wouldn't have to go another block of the facility. Restart assault, and get to the end of cell block. Another keypad. Inputs code and we go in. The room is round, with a guard shack in the center of the circle room. Cells align the entire room, with another keypad door at the end. Some of the cells are unsecure, with doors open. Vomit, blood, shit line the walls and floor. Gate shack is one-way glass. Can't see inside. Hear beeping from inside. American steps out. None of us have the balls to kill him. I recognize him. One of the guys I normally relieve, but why is he down here? He starts to babble. He doesn't recognize who we are behind the protective suits. Sees Contractor, shuts up immediately. Contractor is waiting for us to react. I'm waiting for us to react. No one at all reacts. I lower my muzzle and look to Sergeant for guidance. He just nods his head no. Contractor asks to speak with Sergeant and 2 other techs. Take opportunity to ask guard what happened. Tell him my name. He remembers me from doing changeover. Relays that 4 days ago, 5 of those fuckers came up and told us there was a riot going on and that the guards inside were being overwhelmed by them. Said that we didn't need suits like them, that it was just a precaution. They lied. We need to get out of here, man. Looking into his eyes, notice they are bloodshot. His skin is yellow, gums pale, and he keeps rubbing his stomach. One of my guys starts talking to him. He turns around to face him. The back of his pants are covered in black stuff, as in fecal matter, matting and hardening. He passes a long-winded gas, but doesn't even break stride talking to the other guy. Pauses, looks at the ceiling abruptly, snaps his head back forward, and vomits all over the guy he was speaking with. He starts to talk again like nothing happened. Arguing starts to get louder behind me between Contractor and Sergeant. Start to step back a little bit. Shit Pants Guard starts telling Vomit Guard to take off his mask so he can see his face. Vomit Guard is freaking out, trying to clean his face shield while crouched on one knee. Shit Pants starts stepping closer to his crouched body and reaching for his mask. What the hell is he doing? Start yelling at him to back up and leave the other guard alone. He ignores me. Throws up on the guard again. Still reaching for his mask, and they start to scuffle. Shit Pants is screaming for him to take off his mask so he can see his face. I run up and hit Shit Pants with the butt of my weapon. He rolls off, gets to his knees, and continues to shit and vomit himself, screaming at Vomit Guard to take off his mask. I start wrestling with Shit Pants and screaming for the sergeant to grab the flexicuffs. Screams are muffled because of my mask. I'm on top of his chest, but he is still grabbing at my mask, trying to rip it off. He is biting the rubber face shield and screaming at me in between. Start freaking out. Rubber overboat kicks him in the temple. Black blood starts coming from his ears. He starts struggling more, but Sergeant saw us fighting and ran over. Now he is flipping him over and gets the cuffs on him. He keeps squirming around. See the cuffs digging into his skin. Vomit Guard runs up, and we drag Shit Pants into an open cell and slide him in and shut the door. We and our gear are all covered in vomit, shit, and blood. Contractor says nothing to us but stares. We all nod in acknowledgement. Shit Pants is still screaming, tumbling around in the cell. Contractor has all of us come to him, and the tech says bluntly, "If you want to get out of here, you need to listen to us. We have a ways to go, and I want to stay alive, then walk off to the next keypad door." Sergeant yells for us to stack up. I stack up. Feel slap. Assault room. 5 people mulling around in center and look surprised when we enter. I fire, and so does everyone else. It's a security station. Monitors, intercom system, etc. Secure bodies with flexed-in cuffs. Sergeant walks to camera monitor and consults me. Says we can bypass a lot of stuff if Contractor tells us where we are going. Agree. Call over Contractor. He agrees and looks over the monitors. Points to a facility clinic and says we need to go there so they can do their job and we can all leave. BRB, gotta grab something. Facility is much bigger than expected. Contractor tells us first rooms we passed are just holding areas for new prisoners to be sorted. Emergency exit map and security room. Start to plan assault. Place is built like a giant square with several hallways connecting rooms all the way to the center that makes up the largest cell block and aid station. Run rock drills using miscellaneous office supplies. Get confident we know somewhat where we are going. Start to assault the facility again. Get lucky for most of it, but traces of running gunfights are evident throughout. Bloated corpses are in some of the security substations, and we are out of flexicuffs. Begin using sidearms to ensure that they will not pose a threat. Get to a 3-tier block. Decide that we will just assault through as quickly as possible to the other side and try to avoid getting bogged down. Open door and start beeline. There is a security station in the center. Running toward it to get past and get the hell out of that place. Door swings open, and prisoner with an M4 steps out and starts firing at us. America steps out next and takes up a position of cover and starts firing. Hit prisoner standing out in open. Keep up suppressing fire on guard while my teammate runs down the opposite side to flank him. Tags guard. We all rush up to clear the security room. It's empty. Guard is still alive. Tells us they saw what we did to the other guard station, and the prisoners and guards that are still alive are armed and waiting for us. Sergeant shoots him. There are only 4 of us that have a shaky understanding of the facility's layout. Makes me nervous. No time to talk. Run across cell block to other door, to next room. Continue through several more rooms. Careful at each substation, but haven't run into anyone else. Make it to clinic. Secure it. Then set up defensive position near entrance to protect contractors while they did whatever they were doing. They finish up and come out with a flexi-cuff prisoner. I'm getting more anxiety over this situation. Now we have to tote around 4 people while fighting a force that knows the layout of the structure. Prisoner isn't wearing protective clothing, but he doesn't look sick either. Start to understand why they need him. Begin assault for building. Have to cover new territory as it is the shortest point to one of the exits. There is an entrance that leads to another facility where we can link up with a fire team from our original assault force on the surface. Start running through rooms, trying to be cautious, but trying to get the hell out as quickly as possible. Run into what looks like an ambush. The 3 who set it up are barricaded behind random furniture, and bodies litter the kill zone. Start running through the bodies, trying to keep my weapon level with barricades. Get to the point where we are running on top of bodies. Reach barricade. All dead. Still have weapons. Looks like they succumbed to whatever everyone is sick with. Vomit, shit, black blood. Something new with these guys. They look like their abdomens tore open from the pressure of the fluids inside of them. The organs are black. Some of the fluid is a deep yellow. Keep running. Getting tired. Getting complacent. Overheating. Dehydrating. Nothing we can do but keep running. Sergeant is lagging behind us. We cover more ground, and he stops and takes off his mask and throws up. I look at the contractor, and he just nods his head. His skin is yellowing aggressively. There are aggressive-looking boils on his cheeks. Has that same deep red tint to his eyes. Pulls M9, takes his own life before we can even say anything. No time. Start running forward again, hoping to make it to that door. We have 3 more rooms to cover. Contractor calls me back and tells me to stop. I know where this is going, so I put the M4 on him and tell him I killed both of us before I let him waltz out without me and my guys. Tells me not to worry, and says we need to deviate slightly to decontamination rooms. Too tired to care, and he leads the way. Get to rooms, and they spray the gore off the suits. Sitting, waiting for the remnants of the original prisoners and guard force to kill me, while I just stand there like an asshole while this thing sprays a bunch of shit on me. Nothing happens, and we all rendezvous in what he called a clean room to wait on my other 3 guys to get done with their decom process. Start to put gear back on, and not paying attention. Gunshots ring out in rapid succession. Contractor has killed the other 2 techs and has a gun on me. Tells me he can get me out of there, but I need to protect him when we get to the surface. Agree to it. He shuts off the decon and locks my guys inside to die. Has me put on one of the tech suits instead of my original gear. Takes me not to the door we fought to get to, but to an elevator. Nothing seems real. Go on autopilot and follow him. He knows the layout more than he let on in the beginning. We get to the elevator and he takes us back to the original mock-up village that hid all this stuff. Rendezvous with my original security element, hoping they don't recognize me through the face mask. Hilo lands and takes us across the border to Ali Al Salem Air Base in Kuwait. I'm smuggled out of the country and back into the United States. Contractor kept his word, and I've kept mine. If I gave you my real name, it would say I died in a mortar attack in late 2007 in southern Iraq, outside of Qasr. I'll leave you with this, a clue. J376. Albeit, here is a true one for you all. There are secret research labs in China where they clone and splice human and pig hybrids. This is done to eventually supply China's aging elite with backup organs and perhaps rich foreign clients. One of the worst parts, under international law, human chimeras, humans that have any measurable amount of animal DNA, don't fall under the Geneva Convention as having human rights, since they are not technically human. Further, they are not considered animals either, because they have human DNA, so they don't even have animal rights to humane treatment either. We are talking specimens that have 95% human DNA, spliced with maybe 5% of pig DNA. The specimens, in all likelihood, look, think, feel, and act human, but they technically aren't, which means that when their number is called, that's it. Imagine being born and growing up in a lab. They can find you, feed you, maybe even care for you. You grow up maybe not even knowing why or for what purpose you were there for. Then one day, some old Chinese statesman's heart is failing, so your number is called. They take you, strap you down, put you under, cut you open, and take your heart. Then your corpse is likely thrown in a dumpster out back. It's almost guaranteed at this point that these horrors are real and happening. Mom marries stepdad, move into really big, nice house. Kinda out from civilization, big woods in the backyard. Room on the top floor, window looking out over backyard. House, big hill, brush, tree line, small patch of farmland, forest. Just sat around. Mom wanted me to get a hobby. Pretty young, around 10 years old, get a telescope for my birthday. Pop out screen to window because can't see anything through it. Just glass now, use telescope. Miring the stars. One night, see some stuff moving around. Can usually tell if it's an airplane. Definitely not an airplane. Think it might be a heli. Oh well. Brush it off. A month later, astronomy is so boring. Start looking at wildlife in the woods, cause telescope is see far. See coyotes, rabbits, etc. One night I can't sleep. See something glowing from deep in the woods. House is weirdly tall when I think back, and I can see to the edge of the forest over the first tree line. Can't see where the glow is coming from, but I see stuff moving. Pale bodies between the trees. Nope back into my bunk bed after shutting the window. Eventually sleep for a while. Wake up around 3. Go to bathroom, drink some water from the faucet. Head out to the top of the stairs, look out over living room. Hear movement on wood floors. Had a dog, so it could be that, or possibly stepdad or mom. Their room is closed. Steps too light to be stepdad. Too heavy to be mom. Really tiny. Definitely not the dog. Start heading downstairs. No car in driveway. Not my sister. Dog not on couch. Must be in parents' room. Hear movement in the kitchen. There's a bell on the back door, attached to kitchen, for the dog to hit when it needs to go out. Hear the bell. Hear it again. And again. Door shuts. Head into kitchen, then back door. See pale things just going over the hill. Run back upstairs. Open window. They're running across farmland. In a woods. Light goes dark. Keep watching until sunup. Fall asleep after a while. Next day. Nothing was missing, not even food. Still see stuff in the woods sometimes.